The broadcast began with static, a garbled pulse of light and noise that twisted across every spectrum known to the Galactic Union. Across 1,000 systems, the signal cracked through military frequencies, trade routes, scientific observatories, and even secure diplomatic channels. The message was neither encrypted nor polite. It was desperation, compressed into 12 syllables and repeated endlessly. "We are dying. We are dying. We are dying." Governments paused. Empires stilled. The Council of the Core convened within hours. 87 species, some so old their home stars had gone cold, reviewed the fragmented feeds embedded in the transmission. Planet-sized machines absorbing entire ecosystems, hybrid organisms breeding in seconds, cities darkening under writhing clouds of biomechanical wings. It was not war. It was consumption. The enemy was labeled Varnak. A misnomer, perhaps. The original sender of the term had already perished, but the name held. Their pattern was precise. Arrive. Infest. Assimilate. Spread. Worlds did not fall in battles, they vanished in waves. Populations were simply overwritten. Admiral Kalana, eldest of the Triarchy race, studied the simulations. They had fought hive species before, even one. This was not that. The Varnak absorbed technology, adapted immediately, and had no fear or hierarchy. Communication attempts resulted in garbled, echoic signals followed by attack. No demands. No reasons. No acknowledgement of surrender. After 7 months, the list of dead worlds reached 62. Defensive lines collapsed. Refugees became statistics. Alliances eroded under pressure. The Union's most powerful fleets were obliterated within minutes, ships reduced to slag mid-orbit, crews liquefied by invasive neural mist. Panic spread faster than the Varnak. Counselor Dhvar, of the telepathic Soren, volunteered to merge with the signals. He lasted 7 seconds before his brain imploded. His final word, transmitted through his neural tether, was hunger. Fear overtook pride. Peaceful cultures, long evolved beyond conflict, tried to retrofit ancient weapons. The few warfaring species left, Drakari and Till, were brave but finite. Their courage meant nothing in the face of endless replication. An old theory resurfaced. It was whispered in research wings, buried in files labeled Red Singularity. One species, exiled from the galactic stage centuries ago, had been marked too unstable, too violent, too unpredictable. They had been warned, watched, and finally ignored. The Deathworlders. Earthborn. Earth was a Class 12 hostile environment. Volatile weather, apex predators, hyper-evolved immune systems, biochemical variability. Their dominant species, humans, had not evolved through peace but through extinction events. They survived ice, fire, plague, their own nuclear threshold. And they fought. Always they fought. Records from early contact describe them as emotionally volatile yet cognitively advanced, capable of invention under duress, able to adapt strategies faster than most AI clusters. Their wars were legendary. Their weaponry was unmatched in brutality. Their empathy was reserved, selective, almost weaponized. They had laughed at death and called it character building. When the Council had last interacted with humanity, it ended in the quiet sanction. Not war, not banishment, just silence. No further engagement. No trade. No diplomacy. Just absence. Earth was allowed to drift in its backwater spiral of the Orion Spur. The humans did not object. They called it being left alone. Now, eyes turned to that silence again. Admiral Kalana spoke the words no one dared. "We must send the call." The room turned colder. Even the artificial gravity hummed lower. No one disagreed. The signal was simple. Humanity. We ask for aid. We beg. We are dying. No response for 6 days. Then a single audio file. A human voice, male, clipped, calm. "We heard you." Nothing else. Sensors picked up a fleet entering galactic space on day 8. No registered signatures. No identifying insignia. They appeared beyond the Varnak-occupied void, 37 dreadnought-class ships, matte black, shaped in non-standard geometries. They did not hail. They did not pause. They moved. Union forces scrambled to observe. Scouts couldn't keep up. One ship attempted to intercept. It was disabled in under a second via electromagnetic pulse from 10 light minutes away. When recovery drones reached the vessel, every computer core had been erased. Not shut down, burned out. The crew was alive, but unconscious. Their dreams, according to medical scans, were full of screams. When the first human fleet reached the edge of the Varnak spread, they stopped. A single signal was broadcast in the same tone as before. Coordinates. No demands. No warnings. The Council deliberated. Kolana authorized the deployment of 3 observers to accompany the humans. They boarded with diplomatic clearance. No response. No rejection. Just silence. Inside the flagship, designation unknown, temperature was kept at near freezing. Lighting was minimal. Crew members wore full armor with no transparent faceplates. Helmets shaped like animal skulls. Communication was nonverbal. Orders passed through nods, gestures, HUD flashes. The observers documented everything. Human command structure operated with near-total independence. Each ship was captained by a single entity, referred to as Strategic Execution Officer. There was no bureaucracy. Orders were precise. Morale was irrelevant. Obedience was not enforced, it was embedded. In orbit over the Varnak hive world of Gerist, the humans began. No ceremony. No declarations. First, kinetic strikes from orbital platforms. Not energy weapons. Tungsten rods accelerated to near light speed. Entire mountain ranges vaporized. Then came plasma dispersals. Calculated firestorms that sterilized kilometers at a time. Then silence. Hours later, drop pods. Not aircraft. Not insertion craft. Casket. Each one slammed into the atmosphere like a meteor, deploying shock-dampening fields milliseconds before impact. Out stepped figures in the same black armor, unmarked, unannounced. They moved in squads, each formation precise, efficient, silent. Alien observers tried to assist. The humans refused. Not verbally, physically. An observer who attempted to enter a drop pod was pushed back without explanation. Combat was swift. Varnak forms adapted to most life forms within minute. Against humans they faltered. The Deathworlders did not fight conventionally. They used heat, cold, sonic disruption, psychological interference. They deployed pheromone-confusing chemicals. They laced the ground with AI-controlled decoys that mimicked despair. Most disturbing, they laugh. During battle, some humans laugh. Not mockery, joy. As if survival was pleasure. As if fear was irrelevant. In one engagement, a human soldier allowed himself to be captured. His armor recorded the entire event. Once inside the hive, he triggered a fusion core. The explosion annihilated 30% of the hive structure. The soldier's body was never recovered. A message played over the wreckage: "You will learn. Pain teaches." Within a week, the hive on Gerist was destroyed. Not beaten, erased. The humans did not celebrate. They simply moved to the next world. Their fleet adapted. Ship configurations shifted mid-transit. Weapons upgraded autonomously. Enemy tactics were anticipated before they occurred. Some battles ended before they began. The Council asked for communication. A reply came through text: "Do not coordinate." They called Earth a death world, but that title did not explain its people. The term was insufficient. It described terrain, predators, atmosphere. It failed to capture will. Humanity was born in chaos. Volcanoes birthed their continent. Ice ages sculpted their evolution. Their ancestors hunted apex predators with sharpened sticks and fire. They thrived in poisoned jungles and scorched deserts. Everything on their planet wanted them dead, and nothing succeeded. They survived every extinction event and learned from each one. The average human soldier had more combat simulation hours than most alien generals. From childhood, they were conditioned to think in angles, threats, probabilities. They grew up gaming war. Their sports were combative, their media saturated in violent scenarios designed to test and refine reaction. They were not fearless. They just functioned through it. Human minds compartmentalized trauma with clinical efficiency. After-action reviews showed soldiers laughing minutes after losing limbs. One unit, wiped out to 30% capacity, completed their mission before requesting medevac. They bled out in formation, still firing, still calculating. They didn't seek medals. They expected casualties. Psychological evaluation by allied species revealed an anomaly. Humans formed tight emotional bonds, but only with those who endured the same trials. To others, they were polite, cold, efficient. Trust was earned in fire. Nothing else mattered. On deployment, humans arrived without fanfare. Their ships did not announce docking. No cultural exchange, no banners. They landed. They advanced. They neutralized targets. Then they disappeared. The second wave began on Voresh 4, a jungle world completely consumed by Varnak growth. Allied forces had lost it after 3 months of defense. Humans reclaimed it in 3 hours. Initial bombardment sterilized the canopy. The second phase ignited the ground layer. What was left was ash and heat shimmer. Then the infantry dropped. Human squads spread in concentric formations, overlapping sensor nets. Their movement was autonomous. Commands were transmitted in encrypted flashes only they could interpret. When the Varnak adapted, splitting, flanking, mimicking human forms, the humans responded with unpredictability. They used lures, traps, collapsible terrain. They used their own fallen as decoys, rigged with explosive. An observer recorded one engagement where a human squad leader, pinned and bleeding out, laughed before detonating his own corpse to trap a hive node. His squad did not pause. They advanced over his remains, cleared the nest, and tagged it for plasma sweep. Enemy adaptation slowed. The Varnak neural network began to fragment. Drone behavior became erratic. The hive had encountered logic it could not model. The humans were not optimizing for survival. They were optimizing for completion. They never retreated. They didn't wait for support. Every squad operated as if they were already dead, and their only concern was mission fulfillment before expiration. That changed the battle calculus completely. Humans employed chemical denial tactics, releasing neurotoxins tailored to disrupt hybrid neural patterns. They used sonic saturation to overload hive receptors. Their drones mimicked screams and infant cries to confuse enemy sensors. They coded their own pain into algorithms and deployed it as viral weaponry. In one sector, they used climate acceleration to induce a lightning storm, then guided the charges through grounded armor conduits into subterranean tunnels. The strike killed tens of thousands of Varnak. The atmosphere was unbreathable for 3 days. Alien observers, sent to learn, broke protocol and fled their posts. Some never recovered. One analyst from the Corel species, who'd never seen death before, went catatonic. Another attempted suicide. Humanity's efficiency was interpreted not as courage, but as horror. The Varnak adapted again. New forms, faster drones, molecular regeneration. Humans escalated. They brought out shock squads. Black armor laced with reactive plating, facial displays showing predatory animals, reinforced exosuits designed for melee engagements. They fought without ranged advantage. On purpose. They closed distance and used high-frequency blades to carve through enemies face-to-face. Their screams were filtered into static, their movements choreographed to appear glitchy, broken. The goal was simple: make the enemy hesitate. It worked. Survivor patterns showed that hive elements began to withdraw before engagements even began. When humans arrived, Varnak nests detonated preemptively. The network was learning. Fear, it turned out, was a faster teacher than pain. Human casualties mounted, but never slowed progress. Wounded soldiers were rearmed with prosthetics in real time. Mobile trauma rigs deployed cybernetic limbs, reconnected neurons, injected nanobot analgesic. Loss of an arm was treated like a jammed weapon, replace it and continue. At the command level, there was no delay. Orders were pre-calculated based on enemy pattern prediction. Strategies deployed before Varnak evolution could process them. Every battle was recorded, analyzed, adapted. There were no repeated mistakes. Some worlds required full sterilization. Humans didn't hesitate. They used gravitic collapse torpedoes to fracture crust layers. They vaporized oceans. When questioned, their response was uniform: no risk of recurrence. Alien commanders debated ethics. Human leadership didn't respond. Ethics were for negotiation. This was extermination. Alien soldiers who had fought alongside them described the experience as surreal. Human medics treated allies first. Human engineers reinforced alien armor without request. They saved everyone but mourned nothing. After a victory, they simply reloaded. One alien platoon on my release, 7 was overwhelmed during a counterattack. They issued a distress beacon. Humans responded in 12 seconds. 12 seconds. The Varnak were eliminated in 40. Human soldiers retrieved every body, even the pieces, and returned them with notes: "We don't leave our own behind. You were with us." The Varnak attempted infiltration. They mimicked human forms. The response was catastrophic. Humans released facial recognition protocols that induced immediate genetic degradation in any impersonator. After that, mimicry attempts ceased entirely. Human command structures remained closed to outside contact. When one Union admiral requested tactical briefings, they were met with data dumps so dense and coded they were unreadable. "This is what you asked for," the response read. "We are not here to educate." In isolated reports, small groups of humans were observed praying over enemy dead. Not with reverence, with acknowledgement. One recorded whisper said, "You were worthy prey." Varnak neural convergence began to splinter. Internal feedback loops generated irregular behavior. Drones attacked each other. Nests self-destructed. They had encountered a predator they could neither assimilate nor outlast. Human AI systems deployed predictive viral attacks into hive biosignals. They began influencing enemy movement, luring them into kill zones. The final engagements of the second campaign resembled executions more than battles. The Varnak died running. The Varnak were broken, but not defeated. Their remnants scattered, fragmented neural clusters drifting through space like diseased spores. Their instinct for survival drove them deeper into uncharted regions, beyond Union space, beyond sensor range. They became shadows, rumors whispered in war rooms and darkened corridors. Human fleets did not pursue immediately. Instead, they regrouped. They evolved. New weapon systems emerged, silent and unseen. Directed energy pulses that shattered molecular bonds without explosion. Nanobot swarms that infiltrated mechanical systems and turned them inward. Tactical neural scramblers that severed hive linkages instantly. Human engineers worked in tandem with AI, forging arms unseen by any known technology. The galaxy watched, unsettled. Human forces became ghosts. They struck without warning, disabling war factories, neutralizing command nodes, collapsing supply chains. Entire Varnak colonies ceased functioning overnight. Not a shot was fired from alien hands. Their systems simply stopped. Meanwhile, the Union scrambled to rebuild. Alliances fractured under the strain. Some worlds, once prosperous, slipped into chaos. Populations fled to safe zones, crowded and desperate. Military recruitment soared. Xenophobic rhetoric ignited. Blame shifted from the Varnak to those who had called the Deathworlders. Council debates turned bitter. Was this salvation or doom? Humanity remained silent. They answered only when provoked. A single message was sent: stand down. Do not interfere. Some ignored it. Rogue factions tried to claim human technology, reverse engineer it for power. Each attempt was met with surgical retaliation. Silent strikes against supply depots, command centers, communication hubs. Humans did not negotiate. They simply eliminated threat. Reports surfaced of human squads infiltrating systems on foot, bypassing automated defenses with uncanny ease. They moved like specters, lethal and untraceable. They were no longer just soldiers. They were assassins, diplomats, executioners. An uneasy truce formed around these facts. The Union's military held back. The Varnak went silent. The galaxy held its breath. In this calm, questions grew darker. Who were the Deathworlders? Were they a savior species or a weapon of mass destruction? Intelligence gathered on human culture remained sparse. Most transmissions were redacted or incomprehensible. Their society was rumored to be fractured, independent factions operating under a unified command. Their government was a shadow, their motives opaque. Some theorized they fought the Varnak not for the Union, but for something else entirely. Within the human fleet, anomalies emerged. Some vessels appeared sentient, their AI systems integrating organic command. Reports of ships communicating telepathically through quantum entanglement surfaced. These were not machines. They were extensions of a living collective. Alien analysts hypothesized humanity had merged biology with technology, creating hybrid entities. This blurred the lines between soldier, machine, and command center. One Union scientist proposed a chilling idea. What if humanity itself was evolving into a new form of life, designed to survive beyond flesh and metal? Meanwhile, on the front lines, a new threat stirred. The Varnak had not only learned, they had mutated. Biomechanical monstrosities, larger and more aggressive, appeared on battlefields. Their neural networks fragmented into hive mind shards, each acting independently with brutal efficiency. The death toll rose again. Human forces adapted instantly. New armor systems integrated reactive camouflage, self-repairing plating, and adaptive shielding. Their weapons shifted frequencies, modes, and effects mid-combat. They hunted the mutated Varnak relentlessly. In one reported engagement, a human squad was ambushed by a mutated Varnak queen. The fight lasted hours. The humans deployed experimental biodisruptors and neuroinhibitors. The queen was killed, but the squad lost half its members. The survivors showed no signs of trauma, only a strange calm. This calm unsettled observers. Who trained these soldiers? What drove them beyond fear and pain? Human leadership remained inscrutable. When questioned, they responded with silence or cryptic phrases. The hunt is eternal. A breakthrough came when a captured Varnak neural shard was interrogated using human biosimulation tech. It revealed glimpses of a greater consciousness, a primal instinct buried deep within the Varnak DNA. This consciousness sought not survival, but annihilation of all sentient life. Human scientists listened carefully. Their response was methodical, total eradication. The galaxy faced a terrifying realization. The Varnak were only a symptom. The disease was deeper. Humanity's presence was no longer a request for aid, it was a declaration of intent. They were here to cleanse. Union leaders struggled with this truth. Should they welcome humanity as saviors or fear them as conquerors? The lines blurred. Amidst this turmoil, the human fleet received an encrypted message from an unknown source. It was a single phrase, ancient and cryptic: "Prepare for the reckoning." Humans did not respond. Instead, they accelerated their campaigns. Their ships moved into unexplored sectors, destroying unregistered colonies and war machines. They dismantled networks that even the Union had never discovered. Their soldiers operated with relentless precision. It became clear humanity was hunting something, or someone, beyond the Varnak. Speculation grew. Some believed they chased the originators of the Varnak. Others feared they sought the galaxy's ultimate power. The Union prepared for confrontation. They mobilized fleets, upgraded defenses, and fortified borders. Yet, when human fleets passed by, they did not engage. They moved like a shadow, untouchable and unstoppable. In the darkest corners of the galaxy, whispers told of a gathering storm. Something ancient and terrible awakening from the void. The Deathworlders were the galaxy's shield, or its sword. The final choice remained unknown. Would humanity save the stars or burn them to ash? Only time would tell. But one truth was certain. The age of Deathworlders had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again.